And welcome back to another episode of the Universim. So we're pushing forward now into the modern age. You can see all of these buildings are popping up everywhere. Mostly they're residential, and that's automatic. It doesn't cost us any resources, apart from if they fall down. But yeah, it doesn't cost us any resources. You've seen there I've just actually knocked down one of my water pumps. That lake was too small when it wasn't sustainable. It only lasted like a couple of days and was drained. Now, water-wise, we're not struggling, but we're not perfect either. Obviously, it looks bad at the minute because it's winter. So what I did was I've taken out that water pump in that small, like lake, if you can even call it a lake, more of a puddle, and relying on the ones that are actually on the oceans. The oceans specifically are the important ones because that is where the amount of water is. And as you can see, I'm just replacing it with an extra one there. I was being cheeky there. I was trying to put one on the bridge to see if I could do it so I get water in the winter, because you could see that the ocean in the centre does not freeze over. But as of yet, there is no option to do that. I don't think there is actually an option. Even with the deserts, they all freeze as well. So as far as I'm aware, there's no way of continuing water production through winter. The only way to skip it is to actually skip the season, which would require like 400 creator points, god points. Just having a look here at the new temple tower. You can see building upgraded in the back as well. Very modern now. We've got cranes, we've got people welding, we've got various different things. The residential houses actually just continue to go taller and taller as far as I'm aware. I haven't got much further than this in any of my previous games. This will certainly go past where I've got to. I've certainly never got to the end, but from what I can see is the buildings just get taller and taller, so you just get a skyline of skyscrapers across there. Looking at the map, you can see we're taking over a huge amount of the globe as it already stands. I don't know if we're quite halfway. I'm just going to top that up now. I've removed it, so that will stay full. Again, it is important, right? The amount of water that is on the planet, as the trees, are all equally important. If you allow them to degrade or disappear, pollution will set in and problems will occur. So I'm going to fill this lake up best I can. There's nothing running from that lake, so the fish quantity, as you can see, is increasing slowly. It does have a slow fish respawn rate. The lake is not polluted, and I'm not taking any water out of it, so it will just stay there and give us some bonuses to the planet. Is the plan anyway. Looks like the snow's melting now, so we're coming out of winter. With on the horizon, you can see another volcanic eruption. I kind of ignore them, I'm not going to lie. They do damage to buildings. They have killed a couple of people, but that's it, right? I mean, I'm not going to stop the entire planet for that. I just don't see it as worrying enough. Maybe in the future they might make it actually have lava that runs down and requires you to do a bit more micromanaging with the shields and stuff, similar to a tornado. But at the minute, I really don't feel that the volcano is that big of a deal, which is strange because volcanoes are terrifying usually. So at this point, I'm going to try an expedition again. We do have a reasonable amount of people spare. And by spare, I just mean labourers, right? So there's 8 or 9 educated and 22 uneducated. On the health bar at the top, you can see there are 2 unlocks to do. The first one will be coming shortly after this. So this is the last time I'll be moving forward with the level 1 expedition. The food, bread and water, and the poultice, I think you pronounce that, and the hammer and rope will all be upgraded with the building when I get to that stage. But what I'm realising here is, and unless anybody tells me different, this is sort of a mini game, so I will watch it throughout. I'll speed that up for you. But it seems to work well, and I get resources back and don't lose anybody. You can use your creative powers to feed them and keep them happy, heal them, etc. But let's see how far we get and see how much stuff we accumulate on this exhibition. That took a lot longer than expected, but suffice to say, we got 7 artifacts, of which I need to research actually, so I will come back with more clarity in the next video, more than likely. Mainly because, other than the ones that obviously gave me creator points, which I got about 80, I think, the others give other resources, and the icons make no sense to me. So I need to check on that and let you know. But we didn't lose anybody. Everybody that went came back. There was 10 in total. 8 uneducated, 2 educated. All of them came back. All of the resources. I did obviously have to use the cure spell, I think 6 or 7 times. So definitely playing it like a mini game, and that definitely seems to work. Not losing anybody, getting the resources back. A bit of micromanagement on the weights and stuff. But we'll see on the next one. I'll try and do a full sort of time lapse through from start to finish, and then a screenshot of the results with an explanation as to what they are. Time for a little bit more research, and what I'm actually looking for here is the water side. So although we're making quite a bit of water, there are occasions where we're not making enough. Also, we have run out a couple of times just at the end of winter. So using the other points and these are the yellow ones you can see there, I'm just going through now and looking for any that increase the water ratio or water efficiency, whether it be storage or creation. The boiling water added 15%, I believe it was. That one was stamina for the nuggets. I'm not interested in stamina or a might or anything else at the minute. There is a lot I haven't used that are around fishing and increasing fishing. So if we struggle with food, they would be good. But at the minute we don't, and I don't think we will, because we've got food coming from all sources, and including throughout the winter when we have the hunters and the 2 husbandry farms, the cattle farms. So pushing the research now into electronics, and that is the stage probably where I've been before. I don't think I've gone past that if I've completed that, so it's going to start being new to me. The electronics opens up future stuff, right? It'll also open up the wind turbine upgrades finally, which, if I'm not mistaken, through research and the playing that I've done of this so far, is a straight double of the power. Instead of having up to 50 where you saw previously, it's up to 100. But of course, it can still overspeed, right? At the minute, as you can see, back to the water situation, I'm putting down more reservoirs, because the more reservoirs we have, the more water we can hold. If we're ever creating more water than we're drinking, that needs to be stored. That's the whole point. So that throughout the situation of the winters, which it always freezes up, we have that water available to us. So we need to increase the amount of water we're gaining, enough to keep all of the reservoirs full, the drinking water full, and all the buildings going. At the same time, we need to be storing them, right? And that's where the reservoirs are full. If we're not putting enough in, we are going to run out at some point in winter. Now, with the creator points, I do skip winters where I can, just to help with food and various other things. But there are situations and occasions where you cannot. And if you cannot, then you're up poop creek without a paddle, right? Because if you run out, you run out. Rain can top them up, but from experience, it's a patch. And if you're well into winter, it's not enough. Okay, so I let a little bit of time pass again just to get the nuggets up and just let time pass for upgrades of buildings. I did actually miss the completion of the electronics factory though, so there it is. We have enough people, it looks like, to run it. Minimum of, what is that? It needs 6, but we can get 2 in there in terms of availability currently. Right, so back into the research, and we have a massive amount of the yellow creator points now from the schools that we have. So I'm going to get Deep Secrets straight away. That's 80 points, and that is the next stage of the expedition. We're then going to go into wireless technology, territory education, and the radio. So these are upgraded. The next things, obviously, the deep secrets will immediately unlock. That will allow us to do the next stage of the expedition and hopefully get a decent distance down, because it also upgrades the foods, etc. Here we've got one of these events, as you call it. Once you've picked, it tells you what happens, but I don't know if there's a way to go back. So if there is, please let me know. For the record, I did figure out that if you're putting a building down, if you hold shift, it does in fact let you put multiples down. I finally figured that out. Here you can see that the nuggets are going to use 50% more food. So they're going to eat more, because I was nice. But they're going to live 10 years longer, which for us is massive. We've got 391 nuggets at the minute. And you can see now we can allow that to upgrade. So we've got to wait for it to upgrade, of course. But it's important that it's actually been done now, so that's good to go. And for those that didn't notice, there is 2 bridges now showing or going across these 2 oceans to allow us to get to what is almost the other side of the planet and use a nice big open space there with a lot of trees. So we now have 3 bridges. That's the original one there, and then the 2 going over. I've put a just to show you. There's a lot of these funny signs about as well, which some of them are quite humorous. There are a lot, so you'll have to find them for yourself. But here is one. But yeah, I put a guard tower in between the other 2. I don't know if it works like that, but just in case any enemies use our bridges, or foxes, wolves, whatever they may be, use our bridge, at least they'll be shot at in between the 2 before they actually get to the village. So that should be useful. Just going to skip now, as I said. We're going to skip over to spring, pass all the winter, and see what we can do when we're not struggling for water and anything else that's required. Right, the last exiles we do have an army now full, so we are going to try and attack them. Spoiler alert, it says they've got 18 people, right? It does actually say there that they've got 5 tanks. I didn't see that when I clicked it, because I thought that they kept up with us, so the research that we get, they get. I did not expect them to have tanks, and as such, it didn't go very well for us. Humans versus tanks. Yeah. So, from the very beginning, I realised there was a problem and tried to use a spell. Of course, you can't use a spell within their domes, so there was nothing I could do in terms of protecting them, so to speak. What I could do was shield them there, but of course they ran straight through that and into the area where I couldn't do anything. So now you've got nuggets with guns fighting tanks. Yes. People versus tanks. And I'll be honest, at this point I realised it was too little too late. We did take some of the tanks out. You can see they actually have little health bars on there, which is cool. But certainly not enough to actually win this fight. For future reference, the shield over the city can be destroyed if you use enough god powers on it. I think roughly it requires about 15 lightning bolts or 3 meteor showers as a rule of thumb, though meteor showers are very expensive. But suffice to say, it didn't go very well for us. So, yeah, note to self, don't do that. We're going to have to rush some tanks now to deal with them, I think. I did manage to get that one up. Boom. See you later. Didn't even know where he sneaked off to, but he didn't make it back, so that's good for all of us. So straight into the research to look at the modern chemistry, which takes us to modern warfare. And then after modern warfare is the military vehicles. And at that point is where we get tanks ourselves. We do have to obviously get to that, and you can see there is a bit of research in the way. But we will get there, and I don't believe they're going to attack us anytime soon. We have guard towers. I don't know how good they are against tanks, but we hopefully won't have to find out. We can now upgrade all of our turbines with electronic components and a bit more steel, I believe it is. You can see that one in the background still needs to be done. I've done this one, so we'll have a look at what it looks like, the image, etc., the visuals together, and see how they look. I'm expecting them to look modern like the ones we have today, where they're the giant big white things with the huge blades. Well, I say huge blades. There is huge, but there's only like 3 or 4 of them, depending on where you live. So let's see what that turns into. And there we go. The last 10%. It does look very white, but I could be wrong. Either way, oh yeah, it's white and blue, and it's doing... So it's going to spin around now and go to the same direction. Not as tall as I expected, but yeah, you can see there the difference. So that goes up to 50, whereas this one goes up to 100. So I would say it's just double the power. However, when the other ones are at 50... I expected this one to also be at 50 and still going, but it doesn't, so it works the same way. So it is just double the power, but whenever the wind is too fast, they all stop, both the newer ones and the older ones. Taxes collected on that bridge is 43. I was just looking at that because I'm expecting people to start using it to go to the other side, because I have asked them to start building some items out there. You can see all of these need upgrading too. There is a lot of wind turbines because... there's a lot of problems with the wind, either lack of or too much. So I thought, well, they're cheap to build, so get them built. There's some hunters walking past there, and there is in between the two bridges. You can see there was the guard tower there, and then this takes us to this land of trees and lots of them. Yes, I have planted some of these to help with the planet. But for now, we'll chuck down a forester in there to start cutting them down and hope that we get some resources from there, because as you can see, wood 5 is not great. And then coming in for the twister that was planned, it has touched down. So immediately you can go over to where it is. And by the way, I'm aware that the sound effects have got off for some reason. I'm not sure what happened. It looks like I set my mic up wrong while I was playing, and it muted the effects instead of recording them, so apologies there. It will be fixed for the next episode. But as I mentioned in the previous episode that this happened, these shields work fine for just deflecting it. They just stop it dead and send it back. You can, on occasion, if you put them down at the right time, actually trap the tornado within the dome, and then it don't go anywhere, and it just stays there until it runs out. But for this one, we're going to go up the mountain and then back over the mountain to where it started from. However, it doesn't do any damage. It did damage a couple of buildings on the edge, but they're easily fixed again. It was a 1 residential and a park, I think it was. You can see it looks like it's going to start coming down this mountain, so I'll chuck in another dome there. And it will hit that dome and stop. It will then remain there until it wants to go back again. And back again it goes. And then any second now, we hope it dissipates. And that's the end of the... And you can see the domes are still there, so they last a lot longer than the tornado does. So for reference, it's a firestorm for a locust swarm. It's the domes for a tornado. Earthquake I haven't had yet, I don't think. Volcanoes I ignore. And that's it really for the disasters. And it's also it for this episode. So thank you very much for watching. If you like the video, please click like. Any comments are welcome. Subscribe for more. Take care. Goodbye.